that for sure. Okay, we are in Perkei Aleph, Mishnah Ches. And Kadosh Baruch Hu obviously runs the world in an unbelievable way, and there's no such thing as coincidence. This following Mishnah I learned at the courthouse this past week. Says the Mishnah, Yehuda ben Tabai b'Shim ben Shetach Kidmehem, Mishnah Ches, Perek Aleph. Yehuda ben Tabai Omer, Al Tas Atzmacha Ka'orchei Hadayon. You should not make yourself like the lawyers. You shouldn't be a lawyer. We'll see how Rabbeinu Yonah explains what that means. That's number one. Don't be like an Orchei Hadayon. Don't be any lawyers there. No, you shouldn't be like a lawyer. When the litigants are standing in front of you, you should view them as being evil people, as Rishonim. And once they leave, once the dayan, the judge, issues his psak din and everyone leaves, you should view them as being innocent, even the one you found guilty. When they accept upon themselves the psak din. They accept the din upon themselves, the judgment, and they're considered to be innocent. It says Rabbeinu Yonah that Orchei Hadayonim, the lawyers, are the people who teach the litigants how to make a taina, how to state a claim, right? When it comes to a court case, when it comes to both, a din Torah as well as a secular court case, lahavdil, so it's not only about what happened, but you can present a taina in a way, you can present a claim in a way that will be accepted and a way that won't be accepted. It depends how a person, how he expresses himself. So, says the Rabbeinu, we're not talking about someone, a lawyer, who's teaching his client how to lie. That's for sure also. Aval Perusha, says the Rabbeinu, I'm not teaching this person to lie. Here it's talking about one of the dayanim, one of the judges, the three judges in the Jewish court, is going to teach one of the litigants how to make a taina that will be successful. Right? He knows what the guy's trying to say, and he helps him polish what he's saying. The judge should not do that. Now, he's not showing favoritism. He do it to both of them. He's just helping him formulate his claim in a way that will help him. Says the Rabbeinu Yonah, ki yakshudu v'yidaru olav ra. Even though he's doing nothing wrong, but other people will see it as if he is favoring this one person. V'yachshvu v'yidaru olav ra. They're going to speak negatively about him. Brings the Ma'aseh Maring Subis that Rabbi Yonah was about to get involved in a din Torah, and then because it was his relative, and he realized if he does that, people are going to think that he's just trying to help out his relative and he's biased. So therefore he pulled back. The concept that it's not enough to do the right thing, a person has to make sure he looks like he does the right thing. Rabbi Gutnick, who's the Rav HaMachshir for Kosher Australia, used to always tell us in the Kashrus in Melbourne that besides doing the right thing, you have to make sure you look like you're doing the right thing. We had an incident once where there was a cleaning crew. They came into a restaurant it was towards Motzei Shabbos. It was like an hour before Shkia. They were cleaning up. So the owners tell them, come within once a week. Come once a week. They happen to come on Shabbos, and everything's locked up. They're just cleaning. Nothing wrong with that. But a Jew to pass by a kosher restaurant and to see the lights on and things happening, it doesn't look right. Even though it's right, it's the correct thing. It doesn't look right. So besides doing the right thing, you have to make sure you look like you're doing the right thing, especially in kashrus. But that's what Rabbeinu Yonah understands as part of the Mishnah, that there's nothing wrong with helping someone formulate the taina, but if I have to cheshbon, I have to realize that if people are going to perceive that negatively, so I have an obligation to make sure that I don't fall into that trap. I don't look negatively and cause people to speak lashon hara. That's al tas atzmcha be'orchei hadayon. Mishnah goes on and says that when they're in front of you, when the Baalei Dinim are in front of you, view them both as being Rishon. Says the Rabbeinu Yonah that a person you shouldn't be mata libo, you shouldn't lean towards one of them and say, he's a tzaddik, I think he's right. A judge can't have any preconceived notions. Now, this is referring specifically to a judge in a court, in a bezdin, but it can refer to all of us. We judge situations and people countless times a day. And especially if there's some machlokes, whether it's in the house, it's in the school, it's in the shul, there could be a machlokes in the family. So when we're coming to see who's right and who's wrong, and we have to know how to act, how to respond, we shouldn't have any preconceived notions. We shouldn't be mata libcha el echad mehen, v'lo tachshav ki hu atzadik b'dinoi. Don't think that he's right. If that's the case, one is never going to judge the case truthfully. He's never going to come to a true result. You should view them both as being Rishonim, which means I don't give any one of them credence to what they're saying. I don't know anything. I'm going to let the facts speak. I'm not going to listen to what they're saying, and I look how he's pleading, and it sounds like he's right in the way he's expressing himself, and this guy looks like he's a bit off. Right? I shouldn't make any of those cheshbonos and just judge the case based on the content, on the facts of the case. So you view them both as Rishonim, and when they leave, let's say Reuven Taka was the guy. Reuven stole, and Shimon was innocent. Once Reuven accepts upon himself the psak din, the judgment, then I have to view them as all being tzaddikim, that he's doing tshuva. The Rabbeinu says it's a midas chasidus. This is already above and beyond the letter of the law. That once, even though I know this guy was lying in court and he's a Rasha, but he accepted upon himself, I can assume he accepted upon himself the psak din, then I have to view him as being a zaka, as being an innocent person. Because he had a Yetzer Hara, he did his aveira, he lied in court and he stole, but maybe now he's changing his ways. He's accepting the din. Reb Chaim Volozhiner, in his Pirush Ruach Chaim, he says Derek Malitza is like a not the Pashup shot. He says that, and obviously he said on Dinei Torah. The Mishnah says, "Uksheniftar milofanecha." When the Balei Din litigants leave, then you benecha kizakoin. Then you should view them as being innocent. Why? Because when the Dayanim issue of psak din and they leave, that means they accepted upon themselves the din. But if they hang around, if they're not niftar milofanecha, if they're staying in the courthouse, that means they have an issue with the psak din. They're going to try to be mavaklet. You paskin it and they go away gewaldig. Once they stay around after the psak din, you know they weren't makablet. So you can tell he has experience with dinei Torah. Okay, so that's the Mishnah. That's Mishnah Ches. You have to be a person has to be objective. We all are subjective. We all see a person. We tight him up. The first time we see him, we get these preconceived notions, and it's very hard then to take that away. One has to be very careful to always be objective.
How about כשנפטר, הכוונה, we're going up. ואחרי מות קדושים הם.
Right.
אחרי מות קדושים הם.
Right.
So he נפטר, it's zakah.
Shimon ben Shetach Omer, he says in Mishnah Tes, Havimar belachar se'idim, v'havizor b'dvarecha. Okay, so one should have a lot of, you should investigate the witnesses to make sure, interrogate the witnesses to make sure they're telling the truth. Right, in Jewish law, two witnesses come in, and we believe them. They have a cheskes kashrus, we assume they're kosher Jews, and therefore we believe them. Says Shimon ben Shetach, but you must interrogate them and ask them questions and see if taka they're telling the truth, if they're lying, any inconsistencies in their testimony. But be careful with what you say. They might learn from what you're doing, from this interrogation, they might learn how to lie. Says the Rabbeinu Yonah, you must make drisha v'chakira harbe. You have to ask them a lot of questions, try to find out if they're taka lying. Why is that? And it's a tremendous yesod in life. Right? Chazal tell us that the more one speaks, the more he has a chance that he's going to say something wrong. The Pashup shot is, the more one talks, the more chance that someone's going to say something that's not appropriate, that's against halacha, that's going to offend someone. Right? It was in the Mishnah later on in Perkei Avos, Kol Yamai Godalti Bein Ha Tamid Chamim V'Lei Matzas L'Guv Tov Mishtika. Right? If you grew up amongst the Gedolei Hador, the best advice you can give someone is don't talk. That's what you see that Mishnah coming up Ezer Hashem. The idea is the more a person talks, the more they trip themselves up. So these Eidim, if you keep on asking them again and again and again, so if they're telling the truth, they'll withstand all the interrogations, all the investigations. But if they're lying, eventually you're going to catch them.
It's like when you get arrested, you have the right to remain silent.
Right. That's why also, so in this court case that I was almost involved with, they asked that if the defendants don't testify, would that prejudice you against them? Would you think that maybe they're lying? So I didn't raise my hand to say that it would prejudice me, because maybe the guy doesn't speak well. Maybe he's gonna trip himself up, and according to this, you can argue that maybe it is a right that he's lying, because he knows that once you start interrogating him, he's gonna say the wrong thing. But it could just be he doesn't know how to express himself properly. He'll make himself look foolish, and therefore that'll prejudice them. But we're saying this by Eidim, but it applies to everything in life. The more one talks, the more of a chance he's gonna get himself in trouble. And what's the second part? You should be careful with your words. Through your words, they're going to learn how to lie. It says the Rabbeinu Yonah, when I'm being chayk, when I'm interrogating the witnesses, right? I can say in a way they might understand that, okay, I see where he's trying to push me, so if I say that, my friend's going to be innocent. one has to be careful when you're trying to invalidate the witness. You try to put him in a corner because he might understand what angle you're taking and then be able to manipulate you. So if you're trying to figure out from someone, you're trying the truth, and you're so to speak manipulating him to come out to lie, you have to be very subtle, because if you're not subtle, he'll understand where you're going, and you're going to teach him to lie to get his way. So one has to be very, very subtle and smart and shrewd when you're interrogating witnesses. That's Mishnah text. Mishnah Yud. Shmaya v'avtalim kipul mehem. Shmaya oimer. Shmaya says, Ehav es malacha. You should love work. Ehav es malacha. Usna sarabanas. A person should not like rabbanos, which means, we'll see Rabbeinu, he understands it to mean a person who's like, the son of the king, the prince. He just sits there and does nothing. Right? The next generation, the first generation, they worked hard and money means something to them. They're very successful in business. And the next generation kind of just like lives off that. Rabbanos means a person holds himself very chashuv and he doesn't do anything. The Maisa with the Rosh Yeshiva. There was a Rosh Yeshiva who his wife asked him to take out the garbage, and he felt it's a bizayon to him. He's going with his frock, take out the garbage. It's not covered in Torah. It's what yesterday Shal Shura said. It's not covered in Torah for him to take out the garbage. So he went to the stipler going in Bnei Brak, and he told him Shiur. He said, "You're right. It's not right. You should not be taking out the garbage." He told him. The next morning, there's a knock on the door. It's 7:00 in the morning. The stipler's going to take out the garbage. So for you, it's not covered. If you feel that way, fine. But your wife's not taking it out. I'll take it out then. And from then on, he took out the garbage. But that's Rabbanis. That's a person who's being noyeg disrar. He's being noyeg. I'm chashuv, so I can't do that. I can't I can't go to Winn-Dixie and shop and carry packages. That's not covered for me. That's Sneas HaRabbanis. Say Ehavas HaMalacha and Sneas HaRabbanis. V'al tisvad l'rishus.
I actually think it's the other way around. If you see a chashuv a person like a Rabbi Davis one time came to my house to give flowers. My mother was really young, and his wife wanted the flowers to come, so he's the one. I mean, he himself can. To me, that makes the person look more human, more normal. He can relate to regular people. I think it's the other way around. It's not that he's not like a haughty person who thinks of his cup. No, he's like a regular person that you can relate to. So the fact that he does normal things, he or anyone else, you go to Winn-Dixie to help your wife. Wow, look at what the Rav of our community does. What a nice guy. How he conducts himself at home, how he conducts himself with people. I think it makes it's the other way around, in my opinion. It actually is better for him to do these kinds of things because it makes him more normal in the eyes of other people, and they can relate to him better.
Right, that's definitely true. It's an excellent point. Meaning, that's from the vantage point of other people. I mean, I think that if I don't take out the garbage and I don't do anything, people will look at me as more chashuv. It's the opposite is true. Like Daniel's saying, the more the Rav, the more the Rosh Yeshiva involves himself and helps people in a dirty way, let's say, in a mundane way, is more appropriately said. So then, the more people be machshav him. The Mishnah is talking from the vantage point of the person himself. We'll see the Rabbeinu. It's bad for me. It's bad for a person not to do malacha. One should love malacha and stay in sarabanas. Don't like being all high and haughty. But what you're saying is true. You're saying the irony is the more a person tries to hold himself in high regard, the less people view him as being chashuv. I just draw the line of changing diapers. That's why I draw the line. Up until there, I agree with all this. So says Rabbeinu, like this. He says, you should love the malacha. Why? You have baktala. This is a Mishnah in Ksubis. So the Gemara explains the Mishnah. It's a Mishnah. You have baktala mevili de shiam. The Mishnah is talking about the wife of a very rich person, and she doesn't have to do anything in the house. She has all her servants. The Mishnah says make sure the wife does work because the baktala brings lidei shiam. Baktala, not doing anything, brings a person to crazy, to going out of his mind. He quotes the pasuk in Mishlei, "Taivus atzah timisenu." The desire of the lazy person to do nothing is going to kill him. Because once he gets himself used to not doing anything, then when he has to do something, his body is not going to be able to do that because it's going to atrophy. Says another pasuk in Mishlei, the atzah, the lazy person, is not going to plow in the winter. The sha'al, he's going to ask for food in the springtime. In the summer, he's not going to have it. If he doesn't work in the winter, he's not going to have food in the summer. So a person thinks that if I'm lazy, if I don't work, I have an easier life. But the irony is that the more I work, that's the way my life will be easier. If I don't work, a person ends up being in trouble. So therefore, a person should love malacha because that's the way that he's going to be able to sustain himself and with the least tsar. With snar rabbanis, a person should hate the rabbanis. Some of zelavodis malacha. This is juxtaposed to loving malacha because it's one inyan. that a person should hate Rabbanis and Milas Habatlon, those people who sit on high and they don't do anything, because that brings the Misas Ha'oni. That's going to bring a person to be poor and die from that because he's not involved in Parnasa. That's what he says. V'altis v'dala rishus. The third part of the Mishnah is a person should not become known to government. Altis v'dala rishus. Ki avodas ha-rishus hi kasha ad ma'od. Working for the government, Ben's not here. Working for the government is very difficult because, I mean, if this applies today to the United States government, when a person's makabel upon himself, a melech bas v'dam, so the king who controls everything, a person's makabel that on him, that's going to create a situation where kiyum ha-mitzvahs is very difficult. Because now he has this bas v'dam king who's making these demands on him, and it's going to be very hard for him, it'll be harder for him to worship the melech malchai mlachim. That's number one. Number two, the way governments work, the way kings work back then is that if they need you, they'll be mechabed you, they'll give you covered, and they'll help you out, and they'll pay you well. Once they don't need you, they get rid of you. That's how government worked, at least back then. So therefore, before one gets involved in government, one has to make sure that he's not just being used to their advantage and discarded afterwards. It's better just to, open up your dry goods store or be a day laborer and have an honest, easy parnasa.